Hello everyone, it is I, Mitch. Today we are featuring a new games list based on war. This is a sensitive topic for some, but for gamers, it's a big category. We will be checking the best war-based games of maybe the last 1 to 2 decades that you can experience. Without further ado, let's start with our first game. First up, Valiant Hearts: The Great War. It is a 2D animated comic book adventure with action, puzzles, and amazing story. The story of 4 crossed destinies and a broken love in a world torn apart with war. The lives of these characters are drawn together over the course of the game. Friendship, love, sacrifice, and tragedy befall each one as they help each other to retain their humanity against the horrors of war. This fictitious story takes you back to famous World War I locations like Reims or Montfaucon, revisiting historical battles on the Western Front. With the help of your trusty companion's canine, send him through obstacles and shell holes to solve puzzles. The game's story is well-paced, the historical information is relevant and filled with sadness. It has puzzle elements, but it's not a puzzle game. This is an audio-visual journey through one of the most difficult times in human history. Beautiful and an emotional masterpiece. Also, it has a faithful canine companion.
Are there stories?
Up next, Call of Duty Vanguard. It was 2021's release from the Call of Duty series, which has been relatively well received by fans. The game has different multiplayer modes and even zombies, but the highlight is its short campaign story. Vanguard establishes a storyline featuring the birth of the Special Forces to face an emerging threat at the end of the war during various theaters of World War II. Vanguard's campaign features similar gameplay mechanics previously introduced in Modern Warfare, such as the player being able to mount wielded weapons to flat surfaces, interact with doors, and execute takedowns. New gameplay features allow the player the ability to use a more advanced tactical approach in combat, such as blind firing from behind cover, breaking through destructible environmental elements, or creating new paths to complete objectives by climbing walls. Its main objective is to make the players prepared for the actual scene, which is multiplayer. Coming in next, Brothers in Arms: Hell's Highway. This is one of the best installments in an already amazing Brothers in Arms series. It's the World War II-based first-person shooter series from Gearbox. Released in 2008, Hell's Highway that stands out as a memorable high point for the Brothers in Arms series, with the dramatic poetry of a great campaign. Hell's Highway deals with the subjects of brotherhood and leadership, but the gunplay itself isn't left lacking either, complemented by fine-tuned squad command mechanics that still hold up today. At the very least, play Hell's Highway to understand why people are still clamoring for a Brothers in Arms sequel. The first Brothers in Arms made a great go for it, telling the true story of a parachute infantry regiment in the United States 101st Airborne Division, dropped behind enemy lines on D-Day. The game remains the closest thing we have to an interactive band of brothers, a respectful shooter, and one of the best World War II games. Next, Battlefield 1. This is one of the classics, but still very critically acclaimed title. It takes you back to World War I, where new technology and worldwide conflict changed the face of warfare forever. You get to take part in many battles, control massive vehicles, and execute maneuvers that turn fights around. It has changing environments in locations all over the world, like you get to fight in French cities, open spaces in the Italian Alps, or Arabian deserts. It has fully destructible environments and changing weathers. The game has huge multiplayer battles up to 64 players, but we won't recommend that as it's filled with cheaters now. You play this game as a fun showcase of World War I weaponry, vehicles, and more. That said, the game does look very cinematic. The graphics have definitely held up over the years. In short, this game is a dark, gritty, and fun depiction of the First World War, even if it does not strive for realism. Up next, Hearts of Iron 4. It's also a strategy game in which you lead your nation as your supreme weapon. This strategy game lets you take command of any nation. Yes, any country in World War II. From the heart of the battlefield to the command center, you will guide your nation to battle, negotiate, or invade, depending on your situation. It features battles not only on land, but also in sea and in air. You have access to war tools like tanks, planes, ships, guns, and new weapons of mass destruction. The game also features full World War II time span in a topographical map with seasons, weather, and terrain. Snow, mud, storms can both be your strong ally and a ruthless enemy. It also includes battles in both competitive and cross-platform cooperative multiplayer, up to 32 players. You can research and develop historic tanks and planes. Also, for geeks who give hundreds of hours to figure out mechanics, they will surely love it. Coming in next, ARMA 3. It's been around for years now. This title was released back in 2013, and still, this game has a massive following. Fans are given a military sandbox-style game with plenty of content that's available for both single-player and multiplayer gameplay. However, what some fans may take an interest in is the fact that this game allows content creation with mod support. Here, players can craft up their scenarios, multiplayer game modes, along with adding in vehicles and weapons. Still, this is aimed to be more of a military simulator game, so you can expect some brutal gameplay if you don't take some precautions when going through the different scenarios or even online multiplayer gameplay. You can spend quite a long time playing around in this game, but with that said, there are a ton of fans out there wondering just if and when we'll see a successor hit the marketplace. Up next, Enlisted, a multiplayer shooter set in World War II. You are the commander of an infantry squad, composed of soldiers with specialized roles. You can give orders to AI teammates, but you can also swap bodies with them at any time. You can play as the radio operator to call down an artillery bombardment on an enemy trench, or become the guy with the flamethrower, if he looks like he's having more fun. In Enlisted, you can always go wherever the action is, and you can use any of the toys your squad has brought with them. Rather than dying and respawning as an individual, your squad only respawns once it has lost every soldier. This encourages you to work as a unit, covering each other and bringing the correct specialists for each engagement, in order to stay alive and maintain your strength. But if you do die, you needn't worry about waiting ages to respawn. You can simply jump into another soldier. Up next, This War of Mine. In this game, you don't play as an elite soldier, but as a group of civilians trying to survive in a besieged city, struggling with lack of food, medicine, and constant danger from snipers and hostile scavengers. This War of Mine is inspired by real-life events. The pace of this game is imposed by a day and night cycle. During the day, snipers outside stop you from leaving your refuge, so you need to focus on maintaining your hideout. At night, take your civilians on a mission to scavenge through a set of unique locations for items that will help you survive. You also get a randomized world and characters every time you start a new game. Often you need to make decisions, life and death decisions drive your conscience, like to protect everybody in the shelter or sacrifice some for longer-term survival. Because during war, there are no good or bad decisions. There is only survival. Up next, Hell Let Loose. It's a hardcore World War II first-person shooter with massive battles of 100 players with infantry, tanks, artillery, and a dynamic shifting front line with resource-based metagame. You can fight in the battles of the Western Front, including Carentan, Omaha Beach, Foy, and more, featuring 9+ maps modeled on real images and satellite data. The entire battlefield is divided up into large capture sectors. When a sector is captured, it will generate one of 3 resources for your team, creating a metagame that will influence your team's victory. You can choose one of 14 playable roles within infantry, such as recon, officer, scout, machine gunner, medic, engineer, tank commander, and more. It has a bit of a learning curve, but the game mechanics are well balanced. The game puts a strong focus on the actual gameplay component. Hell Let Loose is the perfect example of what a good strategic FPS should be. Last game on our list, War Thunder. It's the most comprehensive, free-to-play, cross-platform MMO military game dedicated to aviation armored vehicles. From the early 20th century to the most advanced modern combat units, in War Thunder, aircraft, attack helicopters, ground forces, and naval ships collaborate in realistic, competitive battles. You can choose from over 2,000 vehicles and an extensive variety of combat situations. Visually, the game looks great when maxed out. There are many different nations to play as. Worst thing about this game, though, is the economy. For a free-to-play player, it can take ages to unlock new vehicles, and also premium currency is expensive. A very popular saying about War Thunder is that you will hate it. Everyone hates it, but there's nothing else like it. The satisfaction of getting a kill is akin to the moment of rest in between torture. It's just enough to keep you going. And with this, we wrap up our list of best war games ever. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to see more content like this. See you next time.